Yes, good afternoon, people. Lateness is greatness. I'm a couple of minutes late. Thankfully, not as late as how some other people tend to rock up to their own shows as you do. But we are here. We are doing good. We are doing well. The weather is holding on to a bit of sunshine before the clouds start to rain over, which is it's always a dampener to the mood, if you know. Always a bit of a dampener to the mood, but we've got a few things to discuss. A couple things. I've got my notes up here, a little prompter. But the Fred deal, as the title suggests, the Fred deal to Galatasaray is in a spot of bother, as reported by Fabrizio Romano, saying that there is a few complications. We'll delve into that. We've got also from Fabrizio Romano, it is being delivered as a certainty that Donny van der Beek shall also leave the club as midfield departures, as far as midfield departures are concerned. Um, we've also got that the Hoyland medical is done and dusted. It's now just a case of sorting out visa and contract signatures and all of that malarkey. Um, that's all that says on the thumbnail, but there are a couple. Well, there is one other thing that I'm going to include on this show, and that is some of the quotes that Ben Jacobs had said regarding the takeover business for Manchester United when he did his interview. Um, Quite a regular occurrence on the United stand, but yeah, he's done an interview on the United stand, and basically he's come out with a few quotes giving his verdict on things. Now, for those of you who do have my notifications switched on and all of that jazz, you would have seen that I put out a video this morning. I put out a video this morning, about 8 a.m. release that was. It's only sat on 6 viewers, so make sure to go check that video out. Basically, it's about 20 minutes of me ranting um, about the whole takeover Shazam, and basically my take on what I think about things, and basically where my mind is going as far as trying to make sense of what's going on with the takeover. Don't know if the sound was a little bit jaded with that, but hopefully sound should be better. It might be on a second. Oh no, fair enough. It's actually the sound is actually all right in having my little retractable microphone on my headset. I was thinking for a second there that because the microphone's positioned further away, that no one would be able to hear me. But it's good to know that people can hear me. At least, hopefully, you can. But who knows? But we're basically that's the last issued subject to discuss on the show, which is the Ben Jacobs quote, and then anything else that we would like to discuss. You can drop your questions in, and we can go through those later on in the show. Um, but we shall start with the Fred deal malarkey. Now, Fabrizio Romano has said about 5 minutes past 4, so this is quite new. It's fairly breaking at the moment that Fred's transfer deal to Galatasaray looks complicated. There is no agreement yet and is currently in standby. What does that mean? What does that mean? And based off of what it means, why is it the case that it's complicated? He's not an expensive player, as we know. The asking price was dropped down recently to an estimated £15 million. So there shouldn't be too much in the way of complicated matters as far as that subject is concerned. Um, but it's a strange one, and perhaps some might speculate whether it's just the case that the wages are being an issue again. That could be. that could be the case. I know Fred's not. I don't think Fred's one of the highest earners at the club. He shouldn't be. I mean, God forbid that he actually is. But it's a cheap negotiated. It's a cheap deal to negotiate for. But as we know, Galatasaray, Turkish clubs don't like to spend money. They really, really don't. I mean, unless there's a transfer fee that I've missed out on or I've completely forgotten about, that's completely slipped my mind, where they exceeded like a 50, 60 million pound or even euro transfer fee for a player. Although, based off of the top of my head, I can't think of anybody that's ever moved to the Turkish league that's really had a transfer fee that's more than £20 million. Maybe there's been a fee that's sort of reached up to about £30 million, but as far as going above there, I don't really think there's been anybody at all whatsoever. Usually, you associate the Turkish league, with a lot of these sort of £5 to £10 million deals for players that are basically past their best from European leagues, or some lesser known players, or not as higher quality players um, that seek to follow. I don't know why it is players like to go to Turkey. If let's say that they're not quite on the track to success, shall we say, or they're not fulfilling potential. Usually, for some reason, you see some of these players disappear off to Turkey. Not really too sure as to why that is, because if it's to do with money, then Jesus, the Turkish league is a lot richer than I was anticipating. Because if transfer fees are so minuscule, I mean, Jesus, they can afford to pay players extortionate wages. Maybe that I don't know. I really don't know. But according to Fabrizio Romano, as far as the Fred deal is concerned to Galatasaray, that's apparently hit a pause. It's hit a pause. Like the takeover, it's hit a pause. We've stopped. The brake pedal is pressed all the way down, and the clutch is now engaged. Now, I suppose it should be if we can say there's a silver lining in this cloud, if we can say that, it'd probably be, well, look, yeah, there are other interests in Fred coming from the Premier League and potentially Saudi Arabia. They can offer us a better deal. They can offer us more money. So there's probably a positive element to the idea that we're sort of forcing a sale of Fred down that sort of path, or heading in that sort of direction. I guess I can say, well, there's potential positives to it. We might end up getting over 15 million. We might end up scraping towards 20 million pounds on the asking price. If we manage to achieve that, then fantastic. That does that can only mean good things for us in the transfer market, as far as needing to go sign other players is concerned. Um, but yeah, it could turn out to be a lot better than we originally imagined. So, you know, could only mean good things at the end of the day if we sell Fred and we get a good deal for him. And that, I think, is all that really matters for a lot of these sorts of players that are essentially considered deadwood. Um, Speaking of departures, another name that has been confirmed to be leaving, or essentially confirmed to be leaving by Fabrizio Romano, is Donny van der Beek. He is saying that Fred and Donny van der Beek are two certain players that are going to leave this summer, and it's just a question of when, not if, for this summer, and really sort of depends on what sort of a transfer move the respective parties are going to seal for themselves. Now, there's already been the mentioned talk that Donny van der Beek could go on a loan deal. That's there's been talks about that. I think Real Sociedad was the mentioned name recently for a Donny van de Beek loan deal. And I'd say, look, that's, as far as a loan is concerned, does Donny van de Beek want a loan deal? Does he want a transfer? Does he want to do a permanent transfer? It really depends on what the player wants to do, because as far as we're concerned, if it's gotten to this point and Donny van de Beek's not really included in really anybody's plans, I suppose there's going to be some issues moving forwards. My playback has stopped working. I do that. Are you working still? Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Good stuff. We're still going. We're still going. But yeah, as far as Donny van de Beek is concerned, it's looking like the most, well, I'll say as far as Donny van de Beek is concerned, so far the most likeliest links in terms of exits from the club is probably just sort of tied down to the loan deal. Whatever the club that may be that he moves to, and whatever club it is that Manchester United decide that they want him to go to. My playback is giving me a spot of bother here. I don't know why it's doing that. Not too sure why it's doing that whatsoever. Yeah, maybe. Well, there we go. So, I mean, I've got my playback on my second monitor there, but I've also now got it on my mobile application. But yes, these are the official words from Fabrizio Romano regarding both Fred and Donny van de Beek sales. United are waiting to sell at least one of the two between Fred and Donny van de Beek to make a move for Sofyan Amrabat. The two will leave for sure this summer. It won't be Galatasaray for Fred. So essentially, Fabrizio saying, well, look, Fred's move to Galatasaray has hit a stumbling block, and it's now no longer moving. It's no longer progressing. We're not getting any further to a conclusion for a deal for Fred to Galatasaray. For whatever reason that is, I don't think it has been publicly stated yet, but the plan from United's aspect is that one of these two players leaving is supposed to be the player that finances or funds the move for Sofyan Amrabat, which I'd read up previously that the bids essentially for Sofyan Amrabat is set up. It's like a bid is ready to be submitted as soon as something else happens. I was thinking, whatever, what that means is that it could be that we've got the funds set aside, but that there's just this indecision, like the club are being indecisive because well, they're trying to be careful with things, and it's like if the sale of Fred or Donny doesn't happen, or if neither of them we can sell for or command a sale for a certain price for either of these players, that hampers other business going forwards or something. And I was just like, it feels like there's a lot of things that this club are doing, like they're thinking that what they're doing or their course of action is like moves of wisdom or decisions that they are making. Oh my god, my internet must be having an absolute aneurysm right now. My mobile app is giving me the green screen of death. What is this? What's going on? I mean, let me know if I'm still alive in chat for you guys, because my live feed from StreamYards is saying that I'm absolutely fine, but the playback seems to be dead on YouTube. Oh, YouTube problems. YouTube problems. If I reload the page, does it actually work? Am I still alive? Have I died? Yeah, my YouTube playback's not working whatsoever. I've just refreshed the page. It is not working. I want to see if I type a message in chat. Let me just type a random message. Cranberry juice. Does that come up? Is it literally just the playbacks experiencing issues? Cranberry juice, yeah. YouTube comments seem to be working fine. Cool. That's all I needed to know. As long as the YouTube comments are fine. I don't actually know if people can actually see or hear me right now if the playback is screwed up on YouTube. It would be nice if someone were able to let me know if things are actually still working. Because if things are not working for you, then I might have to hit the pause on the show. I mean, I guess what I should do is just carry on with the show anyway, because it might just be me that's experiencing problems. If it is just me experiencing problems and you're listening to me, if I just stop doing the show, um, it means you guys just miss out. So I might as well just keep things going as we do. And basically, hopefully, if I get to the end of the stream, I'll finish off the stream. I'll just go through everything, and if I see it uploads onto my YouTube and it's completely clapped, then at least I know that, well, I tried, and technology failed me. But we shall not dwell on that anymore. Um, so yes, basically, Fabrizio Romano said that one of the two players between Fred and Donny is basically going to fund the transfer move for Sofia Amrabat, even though I believe otherwise. Hooray, my playback's come back. But there is a set certainty that both players will be leaving the club. Now, whether that means Donny is actually set to end up getting a move on a permanent basis, or whether it's going to be a loan deal, I think is yet to be seen. I think it's probably been the most likely outcome for Donny van der Beek that he will get a loan deal as opposed to an actual transfer, a permanent transfer move away. And if that be the case, that he's set to be loaned out, I suppose the question really begs to be, what club is it that he's going to be loaned out to? Because I'll tell you what, if we end up loaning Donny van der Beek out, I don't see a future for him at Manchester United, full stop, in any capacity. Just because, for whatever reason, if we've come to this point this summer and Donny van der Beek is still not a part of anybody's plans, like he's still not a figurehead to any capacity, like even being a solid bench option for Erik ten Hag, even if he's not being used on the subs bench, like he hasn't really been for a little while under multiple managers. I think he is surplus to requirements, and unfortunately, that's just I'd say the bitter ending to the Donny van der Beek story at Manchester United. And it's not the way that I would have wanted it to go. I would have liked to have seen him play out a season where he's not injured for an entire season or not getting picked whatsoever. I'd like to see him actually being given a fair run out and a fair share of minutes to actually allow us to decide whether he is good enough for Manchester United or not. But it's like when people, like in previous shows that I've done, where people have said, well, Donny van der Beek, he's he should go because he's not good enough. I said the point is that it's not meant to be about whether he's good enough or not, because we haven't seen him play enough. We haven't seen him play enough. And the problem is that if we're facing a situation where Donny van de Beek's not going to be given the minutes, he's got to go. He has to go, because otherwise you would to say that you would actually know what it is um, that makes you believe that Donny van de Beek is surplus to requirements, and basing it around his quality, he'd need to have the minutes. But if he's not going to be presented with the minutes, it's completely anti-practical to keeping a player wrapped around one's purse strings and not really doing anything. Just twiddling his thumbs on the bench every game. It's anti-practical. Doesn't benefit Donny van de Beek. It doesn't benefit Manchester United, because he's not in the plans. It's like if you signed, James Ward-Prowse, and say, well, he's a fantastic free kick taker and he's sort of a balanced transitional player, but we're just going to sit him on the bench and literally not give him any minutes because we want to fit him in the system, or we want to get things set right. But then you never do, so he never actually sees a minute of football on the pitch. I just feel like that's kind of the way that Donny van de Beek transfer went when it came to him joining Manchester United from Ajax and serving under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So it is a bit of a gutting thing. Big ups to everybody that has liked the stream thus far. Make sure you are continuing that trend. Make sure you are continuing to do that. And big ups to the individual that has subscribed. Up to 57 subs. We're 3 away from 60 people. We are 3 away from 60 subscribers. So make sure you are subbing. Make sure you are liking the content and sharing it. Big ups to everybody that is doing so. Moving on to the next thing, the Hoyland Medical. The Hoyland Medical is supposedly done. It is supposedly finished. We have completed the Hoyland Medical, and now all we are waiting for on the Rasmus Højlund transfer deal is just the case of needing to sign a contract, as well as getting an acceptance on visa applications, and then we are all set to go. We've already seen that there's supposedly meant to be a announcement, or a Rasmus Højlund announcement set to be completed or done during the weekend, which is probably going to happen whilst the Lons game is going on. I just think it's a bit of some bogus timing from United, and it's just everything feels really, really, really slow. Really, really, really slow. And it feels like it's just another one of those cases where we've just drained all the life, the lifeblood out of the transfer, and essentially it's just bored everyone to a point where no one really cares anymore. But fingers crossed that we can get things done ASAP. I just need to. Oh, so everyone. I've just clicked on someone else's stream on YouTube, and that's absolutely fine. That is completely fine. Completely fine. It's literally just my playback. It's just completely unhappy. There is no telling as to why that is. My Wi-Fi looks fine. My internet looks fine. Everything looks fine. It's just my YouTube playback. But anyways, we're going to jump on to the Ben Jacobs quote from his interview earlier today. So yeah, just as confirmation for the Rasmus Højlund deal that Fabrizio Romano has also said here that Rasmus Højlund completed his medical as Man United player already yesterday. The announcement will arrive once visa and contract work will be done. So, yeah, there you go. Apparently, Manchester United have accepted an offer from Luton Town to take Hannibal Mabry on loan for the upcoming season. Okay. Simon Stones apparently said here that Man United also confirmed that Ahmad will miss the start of the season with a knee injury, was limping when he left the stadium in Las Vegas on Sunday. We await further details on his estimated recovery date. So that's, again, another player that was included on multiple squad submissions that we have now seen weren't available anyway. So why were they sat on the bench? Amad Diallo, right, was injured during the Arsenal game, left the pitch, left the stadium on crutches, rejoins the squad on the bench against Real Madrid. Why? Just to find out here that he's set to be on the sidelines for the first few games. For set to miss the first few games of the Premier League season. I'm confused now. I'm really confused. It's like Manchester United trying to throw some people by including players on the squad sheets. Doesn't make any sense. Kind of like Gabriel Jesus for Arsenal. Like man was injured. I mean, I say it's like Gabriel Jesus. I mean, man's injured with a knee injury himself until about September time. But with Gabriel Jesus, at least the club are actually competent enough to not decide to include these players on the benches when they are injured. Let me have a look here for the Ben Jacobs quotes. So yeah, here we go. So I was just going to read out some of the quotes here from Ben Jacobs' interview earlier today, about 2 hours ago it happened. And let's have a little ganders here. So the Glazers, so this is quotes via the United Stand Twitter feed. You can see them yourself if you go onto the United Stand timeline, or if you check out their stream from earlier today. It was one that Beth did live a couple of hours ago, so you could probably go check that out yourself, because you'll probably get a lot more depth behind said comments I'm about to read out. But I'm just going to give my verdict and my thoughts and feelings about the matter. So the Glazers feel that with how football is advancing and the globalization of the game, such as the new Club World Cup format, Saudi Pro League deals, etc., gives them the opportunity to want more money for the club. Due to said advancement, this is why there's still a level of hesitation to sell from Joel and Avram Glazer's point of view. A sale isn't paused though, so that's just to second. That's basically just seconding here what the Mike Keegan tweet was saying a little, I think it was yesterday afternoon. So just to continue here, that from Qatar's side, the outcome of a sale will be yes or inshallah, i.e. they'll either be successful or pull out on their own terms, as what basically I said. Look, if the best way to see if a certain individual or party or group or bidder has been rejected, or if they say that something they don't agree with or they don't like about this transfer or the club takeover process or sale process, if they don't like it and they are withdrawing from it, you will get a public statement from them that will say that we are withdrawing from the process. I said this on the video that was posted this morning, that basically the Glazers, the process isn't paused, right? It shouldn't be paused. It wouldn't make really any sense to pause it. It's just the case that there's other things going on. There's just constant talks, negotiations. There's all sorts of things that are going on right now. First one, Glazer out, Sheikh Jassim in, Ten Hag. What about you, Sofian Amrabat transfer to United, please? I want Amrabat signing to United is better. A baby Deliso. I want Amrabat as well. I think by the looks of it, what we're waiting for as far as Sofian Amrabat is concerned, we are just simply waiting for the club to pull the finger out with Fred or Donny van der Beek sales. It's one of those two that they are waiting to sell before they put forth an offer or a proposal to signing Sofian Amrabat, because as we know at the moment, nothing's happened. Right, there's no official offer, bid, proposal, anything whatsoever regarding Sofian Amrabat. But what we know is that Sofian Amrabat wants to join United. We know this, right? That's been confirmed by multiple sources. So as far as Sofian Amrabat is concerned, we just have to wait for the club to sort their end of the business deal out, and then we will start to see the Sofian Amrabat deal start to heat up, start to get on a bit of a roll, gain momentum, and then fingers crossed, it should be an easy deal to do, and then we are basically home free. So, but yes, just to address the Glazers out, Sheikh Jassim in, 100%. I'm all in that camp. Sheikh Jassim probably the best outcome that we can have from any takeover process that we've been offered so far. No minority investment, because that just means the Glazers get to continue their incompetency. Sergeant Ratcliffe basically also allows for continued incompetency at the club. But Sheikh Jassim just wants to start everything with a clean slate. He doesn't care about anything else. He just wants a clean slate. Just get hold of the club, clean slate, wipe everything, wipe the plates clean, and just start cooking something from anew. And that's basically the simplicity of the Sheikh Jassim bid. It's quite simple and it's quite straightforward, and the intentions are as clear as day. So 100%. But big ups to you, baby, for the comment there. I believe that's your first comment. So big ups to you, my man. But just to continue on with these quotes from Ben Jacobs here. So yeah, they basically said that it will either be yes or inshallah, which to be honest, I don't know if Ben Jacobs actually knows what inshallah properly means. I think he might have misconstrued what inshallah actually means. Essentially, inshallah just basically says, well, whatever will be, will be. Or basically just whatever. So it's either yes or it's an official statement or a public statement that says, look, we're removing ourselves or retracting our offer for Manchester United, or we are departing the process of the sale and essentially backing out. So that's probably the communication that you'd probably be waiting for. If the club or the interested buyers were to actually turn around to say, look, we don't want to carry on with this. Maybe we consider this a sham process. Maybe we could say, well, look, we can't afford this sort of a bids, because it's kind of like when people were talking about the story that the Glazers, they want 8 billion now, and it was just like, well, based off of the information that's coming out regarding the status of each respective bidder's situation, would technically rubbish the reports about the Glazers asking for more money. Obviously, the set asking price at 6 billion has not been met, and supposed feelings around that sort of essentially those bids, the value of the bids that have materialized and have been submitted, that the Glazers feel a sort of slight disappointment that there hasn't been a matching of valuation. So I think what it is right now is they know whereabouts the lines that these bidders have drawn are currently situated and where they stand. I think what we've got to look out for right now is when it is the Glazers decide, well, look, plotting our course for the near future, where is it we can guarantee money comes in for us, right? It's not about where can Man United make more money for the betterment of the club, but where can we potentially secure ourselves more money, because what they want to do is take more dividends. That's the be all and end all about owning a largely profitable entity, regardless of whether it's a sporting franchise or not. If it makes an absolute heck ton of profits, you're going to start penny pinching out of there and taking some of it for yourself, right? That's bound to happen. It's bound to happen. Um, so basically, yeah, it's just more the case that we are in the camp of having to wait for the Glazers to actually decide um, whether the way that they want to go is actually going to work or not. So just continuing on with the quotes here as well. The All Six Glazers are determined sellers for the right price. It's just said price that there are disagreements on. So this ties in a little bit to my comments that I made about the Glazers haven't really moved forwards since November last year when they first initiated a sale process by saying, well, do we want to stay or do we want to go? And that there's the four siblings that want to leave and they say, well, look, take the full sale and we be done with it. And the other two saying, we don't want to sell. And that there's always this disagreement that supposedly all six Glazers are determined sellers, but then there's a disagreement about pricing. So something tells me that four of the Glazers are open to taking, um, you know, slightly lesser bids, with Joel and Avram wanting bigger bids, because obviously they're the most vocal about wanting the £6 billion asking price to be met. So there's those two, but the fact of the matter is that there's a disagreement, right? There's mixed feelings in the bag, and with those mixed feelings, you don't get the mutual agreements. You don't get this the constant, that everyone pulls in the right direction. Everyone agrees. Everyone's on the same page. We all sing from the same hymn sheet. Two of the Glazers, Joel and Avram, want £6 billion. That's the minimum. That's not a negotiable deal. That's the minimum. But the other four, I think perhaps they are okay with the bids that have come in, because they are the ones that want to leave the most. So I think they're probably happy with the money that has been put up. But because obviously they disagreed between the other two, um, that means that there's no green light to the sale happening. And I suppose that's the problem, is that it's not a group that is selling Manchester United. It's not a collective. It's not a single decision. It's six decisions that we have to get the approval of. I know that's five, but who cares? Who cares? That's five. I decide that's six now. But essentially, there's six people that have to say yes to selling Manchester United to sell the club. Supposedly, we are currently sat in the realms of four saying yes and two saying no so far. Now, the two that have said no are looking at all the other alternatives, options, and avenues of progression. Like where can we go as far as this sale process is concerned? Where can we go? Where can we take this? Um, yeah, it's going to be interesting to say the least. So yeah, basically it's just another way of saying what he's already said there. that they're all determined sellers for the right price. That last bit is most important, for the right price. As far as for the right price is concerned, the asking price sits at 6 billion, but I think everybody, to simplify perhaps the outlook on this, is that 4 Glazers are happy with the bids that have come in, but 2 are not. And I think that's probably where we're currently sat at the moment. Is that two Glazers want some more money. The other 4 are happy with what's on the table. Maybe it's not 4 of them are happy with the money. Maybe some of them want more. Maybe it's a 3-3 split rather than a 2-4 split. Maybe it's a 4-2 split. That 4 Glazers want more money, and 2 are happy with what's been tabled. At the end of the day, it's going to be a club sale, where the funds are going to be split 6 ways. The funds between those who are selling the club, everyone wants a cut. Everybody wants a cut. It's just really going to depend on whether everyone gets onto the same page and will eventually get the final decision. And I suppose once we get to the final decision, that's where we can say, well, all the boxes are ticked, happy days. Now we wait for everything to be sorted out on Qatar's end. So apparently Qatar have not got everything completely sorted out and 100% ready to go to complete the transaction. There's still a few things that need to be sorted out there. Henceforth, perhaps you've seen reports come out in recent times saying that the Glazers are not too sure that Qatar or Sheikh Jassim or 9-2 Foundation can prove their funds. Maybe that's perhaps the nature of where that report's come from, perhaps not actually subjectively word for word what that report actually said was true, but more to it insinuating something else. Now, I think Qatar, the 9-2 Foundation, with takeover processes for something of this magnitude, I mean, the Newcastle takeover process, apparently, the process from it beginning, from the first discussions to the deal being concluded for Newcastle Football Club, it lasted around roughly about a year. And because our takeover process hasn't gone on for a year yet, we're much bigger than Newcastle United. Way bigger. Way bigger. And we're dealing in billions. So it's quite possible that this does end up being a process that lasts for longer than a year. I don't want that to be the case. Like the United fan base, as well as me, are very impatient with this. Are very, very, very impatient. We want stuff done now. We want the takeover done now. We want things finalised now. We want new ownership now. We want everything to be starting on a fresh new page, so we can start writing a new story for Manchester United Football Club. That's what we want. That's where we want to go. Now, we're not really at that point yet. Fingers crossed that with the 9-2 Foundation, that they can get everything sorted out, that is fully ready to go, and then it's just solely waiting for Glazer's decision. And whether it's quite possible that, as much as it would be a disgrace, that we could end up going into the realms of a 6th bid, where there was a report that said that it could end up going to a 6th bid. But I think that I think that report got dismissed quite quickly. But even so, we are sort of we're sort of it is a waiting game at the moment. It is a waiting game. It sucks. It really, really does. And it's one of those where it's just like, I do genuinely feel sorry for United fans that are actually sick, absolutely sick of this takeover process, because everybody in the United fan base at the end of the day will want what's best for the club, at least in terms of how we get to doing the best for our club. A lot of people will have different ideas and concepts in mind as to how we sort of get to, that final product that is Manchester United. And basically, once I mean, I'll tell you what, it's stressful just waiting for the Glazer ownership to agree a sale. Once the agreement happens, right, I can see it, everything being even more stressful than it is right now. I can see it becoming even more stressful because it's like all of once the process starts. I mean, of course, it's probably not going to do anything, but you'll get everybody ramping up the pressure, saying, "Oh, we must stop this takeover from happening. It's a disgrace. It's it's a farce. Premier League do something before United kill the Premier League." And it's just like, well, look, they tried to stop Newcastle takeover from happening. That didn't work. They tried it, didn't happen, didn't work, and now it's just we've almost got to go down the same uh, got to go down the same garden path. Unfortunately, it's one of those where it's all overgrown and there's brambles and stinging nettles everywhere, and you're probably going to get caught on a few of those. So there's going to be a few stingers that occur on our journey to completing the takeover process. But I believe that once the agreement happens, that's the tide turning point. Um, because obviously the legal sides of things now, obviously, it's people will want to say, well, the Glazers will want to say, look, as long as we can be guaranteed the money and we get a good price for it, then fantastic, happy days. You know, so our playback has come back to life, but it's just very, very delayed. Thankfully, it has kept everything going. Thankfully. So whilst I've been thinking that my stream has died, it's actually continued going. So happy days. We are happy with that. We are very happy with that. But yeah, so basically, just to summarize the point, based around Ben Jacobs' tweets. Also, as much as it's frustrating, I've got to say this. As much as it is frustrating when you watch the news that you want to hear, like the Qatari hype man accounts and all of those news outlets saying, "Oh, Qatar have won the takeover bids," and everyone's celebrating. But then you'll get Ben Jacobs or someone like that come out and say, "No, they haven't. Nothing's happened. We've not gone anywhere." And everyone then loses their shit with Ben Jacobs. And but at the end of the day, looking in hindsight, well, actually, Ben Jacobs and those lot have actually that have said that look, nothing's happened yet, have actually been correct. They've actually been spot on. Obviously, the likes of your Miguel Delaney's, who have tried to be the most pro Sir Jim Ratcliffe um, news source ever. I mean, Jesus Christ, the xenophobia of the Middle East that reeks off of that guy is actually incredible. It is insane. But the guy just hates the Middle East. Make of that what you will. Miguel Delaney, go screw yourself with your xenophobic viewpoints about the Middle East. It's like there's a lot of things that I could say regarding those matters that might get me cancelled. So I'm not going to dive into those because I would like to keep my YouTube account as clean as I possibly can and safe from a potential ban hammer. So I'm not going to delve into moral arguments as such on that case. But yeah, it is what it is. If you do a bit of research, if you look on the internet, the dark webs or the light webs, wherever it is you want to go, look for the stuff. Trust me, you'll find dirt on plenty of both sides of the arguments between the West and the Middle East. Trust me, you'll find a lot of dirt on both sides. So it is what it is. Um, that's basically all the points concluded on the show. So we've addressed the Fred deal to Galatasaray basically being dead. We've addressed that Donny van der Beek is also set to be on the guaranteed outgoings for the club. By the looks of it, that's sort of more it's sort of more pushed towards it's sort of more pushed towards a loan deal by the looks of things, because that's really what clubs want. Donny van de Beek, they're not really too interested in permanent transfers. They all just want loan deals for him. Uh, BRMX Vibe says, well, deal done. Um, what unfortunately, if that's regarding the takeover process, um, unfortunately, I don't think that's the case. I don't think it is a deal done yet because no one's actually decided anything on the part of the Glazers. I think we're still waiting for everyone to be on the same page, and I think that's the problem. That's the only downside to this takeover process, is that the Glazers, there's 6 of them, so there are 6 sellers for the private shares. There are 6 sellers, so they've all got to agree that the overall bid that's been submitted is good enough for all of them. And that's the problem, is that it takes one Glazer to say absolutely not. I want that. It's like one of the Glazers could turn around, so everyone could say, well, look, 5 of the Glazers can say, right, okay, fine, we'll take this money. Joel could turn around and say, well, actually, I want 10 billion. I want 10 billion on the process. I'm not selling this club, full stop. So then everything gets held up. And now the other 5 have got to go and tell Joel, come on, like, we're not going to get more than this. You want that, but we're not going to get it. And there's next to no common sense for us to stay here. We've got to go. As far as us getting the maximum from the actual takeover deal, then I mean, happy days, happy days. We'll end. We'll if that conversation ever happens, then we'll be in calm waters again. Amrabat has to be done this week. We need him in that midfield. I fully agree with that, 100%. Amrabat is a necessity. That is 100% a necessity signing. We've got to get him in there. I mean, God forbid that we end up having to ever really start Scott McTominay in that midfield. But yeah, Amrabat, whether he be in the form of Casemiro cover or whether it be in the form of starting alongside Casemiro, he is 100% a signing that Manchester United need, because it's just that type of player. To be honest, it's not the case that Amrabat ahead of other players in that position in that I want or would like. It's like if Caicedo comes on the agenda tomorrow, I would say, Caicedo, go get Caicedo. But Amrabat fills a certain role in this team that we desperately need. So that's where I say, yeah, 100% is a necessity, because we need that position sorted out. You know, he's not a bad option. He's a good option. And he's probably the cheapest option, the cheapest equivalent on the market compared to Romeo Lavia's, compared to Caicedo's, and compared to anybody else that has or plays that sort of role. Pivoting at the base of a midfield, operating from deep. You know, that's basically where we are sat with the Amrabat signing. So 100%, I agree with that sentiment, and lovely stuff. Just going to have a quick browse through, see if there's anything else. So Ben Jacobs has also spoken about Harry Maguire here as well, that he could be a target for Wolves if they sell Maximilian Kilman, who is wanted by Napoli. So Harry Maguire has now got another potential suitor. This is what we want to see. We want to see more and more clubs start getting linked to Harry Maguire, because that means we can actually get him out the club. We can sell him. We can actually sell him, the player that embodies everything that is wrong with Manchester United's playing squad today. We have the opportunity and chance to sell him on. And if we get linked to more midfield, Jesus Christ, more midfielders. If we get linked to more clubs where we see that more clubs want Harry Maguire, we've got options. We've got options, and that can incite. Yeah, I'm less concerned about bidding wars here. I'm more concerned about the practicality of actually just selling the player, so we can focus on other areas that can help progress the club. And that's it. that is it. That's where I want to sit with uh, the whole Harry Maguire saga. I just want to see this get concluded and concluded fast. But I want the outcome to be that Harry Maguire gets sold to another club. As to wherever it is he goes, really, really, I mean, as hard as it sounds, I could not care less where it is he goes. As long as at the end of the day, Harry Maguire has left Manchester United. As for who we bring in to replace him, I mean, it's not that difficult to get better than Harry Maguire if you do the scouting right. It is not that difficult. I know we've been linked to Todibo. I think there's a few people that do highly rate Todibo. I think when I was addressing the appreciation, we had someone saying in the chat that Todibo has essentially got the personality and the passion that you find with Lisandro Martinez, and he's got the fight, the desire, and everything he needs to be deserving of representing the badge on the shirt. Now, whether he's got the quality to enact the right level that we need from a centre back, at least I don't have to look at another Harry Maguire who basically fails to take accountability for what happens on the pitch. Um, I'm just having to search up on something real quick here. Yeah, for some reason I cannot find it. Um, but yeah, essentially, but yeah, it's good news that Harry Maguire has also been linked to Wolverhampton Wanderers. We get closer to what we want uh, on that side of business. Fabrizio Romano also has backed up the case for Sofian Amrabat by saying he's turned down multiple lucrative Saudi Pro League offers as he wants to wait for Manchester United. Big ups, my man. Big ups, my man. He wants United. He wants United. And yeah, again, you can say, well, case in point, Eric Ten Hag. You know, the guy's played for him before. As hard as it is to believe, but yeah, back in the days where Sofian Amrabat actually had a full head of hair, and since then they've. I mean, I'll tell you what. As much as we would like to say, well, Ten Hag had a full head of hair back then. He was always the bald genius at that point, and now Sofian Amrabat's being the journeyman. He finally gets to go to a top level club in Manchester United. I think this is probably the opportunity that Sofian wants to take. And he's willing to wait. He's willing to wait. And fingers crossed the club pull the finger out, sell the players they need to sell, and get the players in we need to bring in. As easy as that. Give me some more of it. But yes, lovely, lovely stuff there. Um, okay, that's all good. That is all good. That's all good. That's all good. Right. So, what else do we have going on? Let's have a little read. Let's have a little read. So, just on the Todibo story here as well, confirmed by Fabrizio Romano in the last 7 minutes here, that Juventus are not open to proceeding on the Jean-Claire Todibo deal due to conditions asked by OGC Nice. There are more clubs interested in the French centre-back who could be on the move this summer. So for a lot of people saying, well, yeah, Juve is probably going to hijack this deal. They're going to take this deal before we can get a look in. Well, by the looks of it, Juventus are not willing to proceed with the transfer negotiation. So he's a clear run. He's still a clear run for United. So if the interest for Harry Maguire picks up, I think we might know a very, very likely name that will be linked to. So that's all good. That's all good. Things we like to see. If there's anything else you would like for me to address, any other points you would like for me to address, do be sure to drop those comments in the chat so I can address those points before I wrap up the show, because we're getting to the hour point, which is essentially a minimum show cutoff point for me. Shaya Lacey again is doing bits for the under 16s, I think it is. I think it's the under 16s he's doing it for. I'm wondering if the Ahmad injury, if it sits long enough, that could influence the decision with Facundo Palestri, because I know that there's talks about Palestri getting a loan deal, a loan move away from the club. I'm just wondering if perhaps if we've got problems with Amad Diallo, that perhaps we keep Facundo Palestri at the club in order to have him be the bench option. I don't know. I'm not sure on what the resolve for Manchester United Football Club is, but we'll have to see. Apparently, according to CNN Turk and Yagiz Sabuncuoglu, I think that's Sabuncuoglu, is how you pronounce the name. That apparently breaking, Manchester United have made an official offer to sign Fenerbahce's Altay Bayindir, I think that is, as their second choice goalkeeper. It's the backup option. So a Zion Suzuki alternative, perhaps. Let me know your thoughts and feelings about that. If you know anything about the player, do be sure to leave that in the comment section. That would be nice. That would be nice. Yeah, I think that is essentially, you're up to date with everything. I think we are up to date with everything. Yeah, I think we are there. So, yeah, I'm going to wrap the show up there, people. Big ups to everyone that has tuned in and liked the stream, but also shout out to the individual that has subscribed whilst we were live. We're up to 57 subs. We are 3 off. We are 3 away from achieving 60. And then the new goal will turn to 70, and then we'll get to 70, and then it goes 80, and then get to 80, we go 90, and we'll get to 90, we'll go for the big 100, and when we reach 100, I'm going to switch it up, and we'll go to 150, and set some more ambitious targets, but we like to see those, so big ups to everybody that has tuned in. Massively appreciate all of those of you who have watched and who are supporting the channel. Big shout out to those who have liked the stream and subscribed, and all of those who have dropped comments in the chat there. And that's it from me for now. Have yourself a blessed rest of your Thursday, and we'll be seeing you again on Friday. Friday. I'll see to potentially trying to do or schedule the stream to be slightly earlier. I'll try and schedule it to be slightly earlier, and hopefully there's a lot of things to talk about, and fingers crossed my YouTube playback is actually working properly, is working normally, rather than being clapped as all hell and making me think that I'm not live whatsoever. So fingers crossed that technology wants to be kinder to me tomorrow. But anyways, that's it from me for now, and we'll be seeing you again real soon. Ciao for now.